Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today we're going to be playing a vertically scrolling shoot 'em up for the Sony PlayStation called Two-Tenkaku. And this is a fairly obscure game that not many people seem to know about. It was a 1995 shoot 'em up, and as far as I'm aware, it wasn't released outside of Japan, which is kind of surprising because it would have seemed like to have made a pretty good budget title, especially near the end of the PlayStation's life cycle in Western regions. It's a solid little shoot 'em up. It's not too terribly complex, nor too terribly challenging, but it is fun. It's got some decent graphics, some of the music is okay, and you know, you do have higher difficulty modes that you can crank it up to make the game significantly more challenging. You do have some goofy full motion video sequences though in the beginning. It's early PlayStation goodness, just a bunch of chatter that I don't understand because it's only Japanese, but it's nothing too terribly interesting, and so we're gonna go ahead and just skip through it. If you ever check out this game for yourself, you can feel free to watch it. But yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and go straight through the game. There are only 5 stages in this game, so it's not a very long game. I predict this playthrough will take about 25 minutes tops. And you do have a configuration screen here. You've got multiple difficulties going all the way up to Mania, all the way down to Easy. And you've got sound and memory card options as well as control options. So we're going to be playing on the default normal difficulty mode just to show you through the game. I will be using bombs and things like that, when convenient, to try to survive. But yeah, you have 3 different ships you can pick from. I actually prefer the first one, which is the Crabber or Craber, mainly because it's the only one with a spread shot in the game. And the spread shot is very useful because there are a lot of homing missiles in this game. And we'll go ahead and skip through that. Every level does have a full motion video intro. I'll go ahead and let those play out. But yeah, Crabber has the only spread shot in the game, which is very good against homing missiles. Also, a lot of projectiles in this game are destructible, and thanks to the spread shot, you're more likely to take out, destructible bullets with it. So, but yeah, this is the start of the game. The first stage is actually a little more intense than some of the other levels in the game, and so what you want to do is try to get powered up as quickly as possible. These big green ships oftentimes drop power-ups. Sometimes later on in the game they will drop money icons or coins, which basically just adds to your score in the game. Again, this game isn't too terribly complex. It is, it's a fairly basic shooter. Nothing too terribly special. So when coins appear, there's no advanced scoring system as far as I'm aware. If anyone knows if there is more advanced scoring, do let me know, but I don't think there is. So it's basically just pick up money icons, get points for it, shoot stuff to get even more points, and if you pick up power-ups where when you're already maxed out, you'll get extra points for them, things like that. It's a fairly basic, stock, standard shoot 'em up. Now you do get a lot of bombs in this game. There are 2 different types of bombs. You got the S and T bombs. And this is our first boss. Every level has 2 bosses. And so for this first boss, you want to just take out its wings. And it's got a bunch of destructible projectiles as well. Like these ones right there. And there we go. Once you take out the wings and you take out the first phase of its center portion, it'll shoot out a direct shot downwards towards you. Pretty easy first mini-boss. Not too tough to deal with. Now we have a bunch of turrets and things like that on these rooftops, so we watch out for that. We'll also get some coin drops for some extra points. And our actual boss of the first level here is going to be a little more complex than that first mini-boss that we encountered. And we'll see how we do with it. Now when you use your bombs in this game, you are invincible during the bomb's activation. And I just picked up homing missiles. I actually prefer homing missiles over the direct focused missiles because they're still relatively powerful and they'll take out enemies to the sides of me, which is very useful. Now, when you fire in this game, you've got square, which just does 1 shot at a time. Now, if you use triangle, it does a bunch of shots, but you have to keep tapping triangle. You can't just hold it down, at least for the first 2 ships. The third ship, you can just hold down triangle. It's actually kind of interesting. So what I'm going to do is actually just use a bomb here to get rid of these turrets ASAP. Some of these bosses are actually pretty tricky if you don't use a bomb, and it's you know, one thing that's distracting is kind of how fast your bullets go across the screen. They almost look like they're blinking across the screen, even though they're not. But when you hit enemies and bosses, they blink as well, and the combination of the speed of your bullets going across the screen and the blinking of the bosses, it kind of like makes the boss's bullets difficult to see. You end up getting hit by something that you didn't even really see. So it is good to use bombs. I don't think you actually get extra points for holding onto your bombs. So it's one of those shooters where you might as well just bomb on bosses and you know, because you're not really rewarded for keeping your bombs, as far as I'm aware. You know, there's no, you know, bonus score calculation at the end of each level, so I have no idea if you actually do get extra points from holding on to your bombs. So I say use your bombs. And this is level 2. Levels 1 and 2 are probably the longer stages in the game. Levels 3, 4, and 5 are not too terribly long. They move along at a pretty brisk pace. Here's some more homing missiles. This is another bomb. This is T. T is, if I remember correctly, I think T is the more focused shot. Let's test it out. Yep. So here we go. This is the T-bomb. Very, very useful. And remember, when you use these bombs, you're completely invincible, even if it doesn't look like you are. And the S-bomb is more of a screen-clearing bomb, which is very nice as well. They both last for a good amount of time. Now, what's kind of interesting about my little wave shot here is you'll notice that when it collides with enemies, these little circles appear, letting me know that it's colliding with the enemies. Up to 4 circles can appear, and I think that when there are 4 circles on an enemy, it means that the full shot is colliding with it, doing maximum damage. If all 4 parts are not colliding with the enemy, I believe you're actually doing less damage. So that's something that's really important to keep in mind if you're trying to, you know, attack mini bosses or bigger enemies. Like, we're gonna have a bigger enemy pop up here, and we can actually get behind these boats and actually destroy the turrets before they can really do anything. And there we go. Now there's gonna be another one of these that has more hit points and has a couple more bullet patterns to it. Right here, just like so. I'm gonna try to get rid of these boat turrets first, because they're a little annoying to deal with. Fortunately, since you're flying in the air, you can just hover over them and then destroy the turrets. And if I want to, I can get close and try to point blank this guy. Point blanking is when you get close to an enemy and all of your projectiles collide with the enemy, meaning no bullets are missing. Depending on the shooter, you'll be doing extra damage and thus killing enemies a lot faster. It's a very important shoot 'em up strategy. Alright, and this is our main boss. It's a boat with a bunch of turrets on it. So we're going to try to take out all the turrets and whatnot as quickly as possible. Now, Two-Tenkaku, one of the most frustrating things about the game is dying and having to recover. Now, recovering itself isn't that difficult because you do get a lot of bombs and whatnot, and power-ups are pretty frequent. But any weapon level below the highest weapon level is pretty much useless in this game. It's very, very weak, and while the boss patterns aren't usually very tricky, the bosses just take so long to take down with anything other than your maxed out firepower. So it's very important that you learn the boss patterns in this game if you want to have a good time, at least. Learn the boss patterns in this game and make sure you're playing smart at the bosses. Otherwise you will die, you'll get downgraded on your weaponry, and it is pretty aggravating having to try to destroy these bosses with, you know, less than maxed out firepower. That's a design choice I'm not a huge fan of. I really like, you know, some more modern cave shoot-em-ups where even if you're not maxed out on firepower, you still do a lot of damage, and it's, you know, very comparable to being maxed out strength-wise on your firepower. So this is one of those parts where we've got homing missiles. So again, this is where my spread shot is really good. So we just got to watch out for this focused laser, and then try to take out the homing missiles. You'll notice that my spread shot is actually colliding with the homing missiles on the side, which is really nice. And boom, that's it. Alright, so no deaths so far, which is really good. That's the idea. I'd like to try to get through this with as little deaths as possible. Not to be like impressive and be like, ooh, look at me, I'm a hotshot. I got a 1 life clear on Two-Tenkaku, a game that most people haven't even ever heard of before. It's more or less to stay powered up, because again, when I die, I am much, much weaker, and the bosses are no fun when you're super weak. Like, you want to be maxed out on every boss you get to. And it makes your life easier on the levels as well. And I want to try to save my bombs too. I don't want to just be using my bombs left and right. Although on this first mini-boss, or, yeah, the mini-boss of Stage 3, I do like to bomb, so I am going to bomb going into him. And after I bomb, I'm going to get in his face and point blank my shots to do maximum damage. And hopefully I won't have to deal with his later patterns, because he's one of the trickier bosses in the game, actually. Now you notice that the spread of my spread shot is not all that useful. It is not super powerful, but it is good for just taking out, you know, weaker enemies. There are some enemies in this game, though, that are just simple helicopters, but they still take a lot of hits, like those ones that appeared right there. So I really want to hit them with my main sort of wave green shot. Alright, and this is our boss. Our mini-boss. Now you can see how I'm hitting him, and it's shooting him 4 times. As you can see with the little bubbles that appear, the little circles. So again, point blanking, boom, he's dead. So his little spread shots are really tricky to deal with, because, you know, he's got spread shots where they're bigger bullets, he's got spread shots where there are more bullets and they're smaller and they're hard to see, and they're fast. And then he's got these hands that come out from the sides of the screen, usually from the left and then the right. And that's also very tricky to deal with if you're not familiar with it. So it's good to just use a bomb and then get in his face and point blank him and kill him before he can even do anything. Viable strategy, especially if your bombs don't really give you any extra bonus points. Although it is entirely possible that medals might appear if you bomb. I don't think that actually happens. I've bombed a couple times before, and coincidentally lots of medals have appeared. But yeah, I really don't think there's any sort of advanced scoring system. Now this is one of the trickier parts of the game as well. These enemies with these lasers, they move slowly across the screen, shoot down these focus lasers. So you kind of want to use your spread shot and hit them sort of on the side. Don't get right like directly below them or in their way. And so for this guy, we're going to just try to take out his arms as quickly as possible. He'll do some green spread shot projectile patterns. And then after we destroy this guy's head, he does this laser. Brings out these yellow balls. You want to just kind of go up the screen. They have homing properties to them. So just move out of the way, go up the side of the screen. Wow, we wrecked that guy really fast. But that's what you get for being maxed out on firepower. Bosses go down so much faster with max firepower. If I was at less than max firepower there, that boss would have taken twice as long. Guaranteed. So we're 14 minutes into this playthrough, and we're already on stage 4. So we're already over halfway through the game. Like I said, it is a very short game, but it is a fun game. It's a game I do really enjoy now that I've put a lot more time into it in particular. It's not the most complex shooter out there, but shooters don't have to be complex. You know, there's good, easy pick up and play value with these games, and that's what, you know, it's one of the great things about this genre, is they don't have to be super long, they don't have to be super complex. There's another one up. We have 6 lives right now, wow. But yeah, even the most simplistic shmups can be a lot of fun. That's what's great about this genre. That's what's great about a lot of old school genres, not just shoot 'em ups, but a lot of old school genres have really good just pick up and play value without being super deep experiences, and that's okay. So for this guy, I'm going to try to take out his center turret first, and then worry about the other ones afterwards. Boom, there we go. He's got this purple circular shot. Now these sort of stingers. He's almost like a big bee. Will actually fly out of him. You can just easily avoid them. It's nothing special. And there we go. And what's actually kind of interesting, it makes this sort of jaguar sound after you destroy bosses on these last couple levels. It doesn't do it in the early parts of the game, but it does it on these later parts. When I was streaming this game, that was a standout moment for a lot of viewers. People noticed that and commented on it pretty much all the time. Every time it happened, someone would say something. I personally like it, the Jaguar sound. It's funny. It's cool. It gives the game a unique vibe. I guess that's what I should say. It's not really funny, but I like it. I enjoy it. So this is the second half of our fourth level. And the sort of futuristic base section, that's going to lead into the final level as well. The first half of the final level is a lot like this second half of the fourth level. Now, something I haven't mentioned yet is that apparently this game was the result of some kind of programming contest that Sony held. And I'm going to go ahead and use a bomb, try to take out this guy's turrets. Try to take out the leftmost one. There we go. And he's gone. But yeah, apparently this game was the result of a programming contest, and it was the winner of some kind of contest. And basically, the stipulation was, hey, if you win this contest, we will release your game to the public, as a full retail game. And that's what this is. And it's one reason why this game is, I think, as simplistic as it is. But it's a solid game, for being something that was a part of a competition. To get the full release treatment was really cool, and it's still a fun game. So kind of an interesting history behind this one. There's probably a lot more detailed information about it than I just divulged there. But definitely something to look into if you're interested in that sort of game history. So this level has a lot of enemies coming from the sides of the screen. Oh, I should say coming down the sides of the screen. And they generally have a lot of hit points compared to other enemies in the game. And they do shoot out quite a few bullets. Now you'll notice I'm skipping that missile power-up. It's because it's a focused missile. I don't want focused missiles. I want homing missiles on this level. I mean, I want homing missiles pretty much for the whole playthrough. I have switched up by accident in this playthrough, but, it's not a huge deal usually. But I do still prefer the homing missiles, especially on this last level, because this last level can get overwhelming very quickly. I'm basically moving to the sides of the screen to try to kill whatever enemies appear. I'm going to go ahead and use a bomb. I probably would have died there if I didn't bomb. There we go. Just like that. Yeah, you can see how many hits these guys take. They take a lot of hits. Having to do some actual dodging now. Another bomb, just to be safe. I've got 3 bombs. I think I can get through the last boss without dying with these 3 bombs. I think. Another power-up. Although at this rate, I might have to use another bomb. We'll see. Alright. So this is our first boss of this level. And he's going to have some spread shots that you require little baby taps. Kind of like a ride-in game or a later part of a Aero Fighters or Sonic Wings game. Now for anyone that's curious about this game, comparisons between this and other shooters, this is most comparable to a Sonic Wings or an Aero Fighters game. Just for anyone that's curious. Oh, that was close. That's a tough one to avoid because it really requires good focus. Now this part can be a little aggravating as well Because you've got a lot of enemies that spread apart into spread patterns. And those can be very difficult to avoid if you're not careful. And the reason I bombed there earlier is because I didn't think I was going to, you know, pass through the spread pattern. It's another extra life. We've got ourselves 8 lives now. And this is our final level. Or not our final level. It is our final level. This is our final boss. And he first does these huge balls. And what we want to do is tap over to the side. And then tap upwards like this to get around them. So we need to watch out for his mouth. Once his mouth opens... Wow, he didn't even do a second round. We just annihilated him. We annihilated his first phase. Second phase, he just bounces around the screen. Does about 3 bullets at a time, just like so. And then he gets faster and faster and faster. And then that's when we're going to start bombing. Alright, let's just bomb. And 1 life clear. We actually got a 1 life. I think this is actually my first 1 life clear in the game, so that's pretty cool. Use bombs at just the right moments to help me out. But yeah, that is Two-Tenkaku. That was the full game. I don't know if you get, you know, like a true final boss or an expanded ending if you play in the hardest difficulty mode. But that is pretty much it. That's the normal difficulty mode of the game. I'm going to put more time into this game in the near future, try to play the harder modes and see if anything else unlocks, or just see, you know, how hard it is in comparison. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this basic playthrough, and hopefully, you know, if you check this game out, hopefully some of those tips will help you get into the game and get decent at it a little bit quicker than it might normally take, so... But yeah, this is a pretty cool game. I do recommend it if you're a big fan of shmups. It's not the most amazing thing out there, but it's far from the worst thing out there either. It's still pretty solid. And it looks like all my practice scores got wiped out because I actually ended up resetting the game for one reason or another. I forgot why, but I ended up resetting the game. And yeah, so I lost my previous scores, but that's okay. This was definitely my best score for sure. But yeah, Two-Tenkaku. Cool game. Definitely recommended for shmup fans out there. It's not too expensive as far as I'm aware, although I don't think this pops up for sale all that often, simply because it is kind of an obscure game. Probably didn't sell all that well. Otherwise, you would see a lot more copies out there on a more regular basis. And it's kind of a shame this was never brought over to the United States or Europe as like a budget title or something like that. Pretty much the entire game, aside from the ending and voices, are in Japanese, and they could have easily fixed that. But yeah, really cool game. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and that was Two-Tenkaku. So yeah, it's gonna do it for me, guys. I don't have anything else to say. I'll be back with some more Let's Play sometime soon. If you're new to my channel, definitely subscribe. I've got a lot of Let's Plays here, and many more to come. For everyone already subbed, thank you for your continued support. Hope you guys continue to enjoy this content. And yeah, until the next one, guys, take it easy.